You guys, today, Caitlin Clark got fined $200. Kathy, what do you think you are accomplishing by that? What kind of message do you think you're accomplishing by doing? You're not even making an example out of her by finding her an exorbitant amount of money. You are literally making a joke out of yourself by finding her such a little.
The WNBA is once again caught in the middle of controversy, highlighting the deep flaws within its leadership. This time, the issue isn't about missed calls or biased officiating on the court, but about the league choosing to punish its biggest star simply for speaking out against clear and undeniable problems.
Okay, and we know how this works because Sophie Cunningham has told us how this works. If you talk about the refereeing, if you talk about the officiating on the InstaFace, on the TikToks, on the Twitters, any of that social media, in the public, in the interview, if you mouth it in the shower, Kathy Engelbert will peek in and look around at you and point at you and be like, you're fined. Even though she won't clean up the officiating in her trash-ass league? Okay.
Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever's sensational guard who has single-handedly transformed women's basketball, was fined $200 after posting on Instagram saying refs couldn't stop us following her team's playoff victory over the Atlanta Dream.
So during the game, we saw here, the Fever players celebrating. I would assume based on the reaction that this was after the Lexi Hull steal and everything. And Caitlin Clark on Instagram commented this: refs couldn't stop us. Elite bench mob. It wasn't for the lack of trying. Glad they're having fun and celebrating like no other teams. Will she get fined for saying that? Yeah, she got fined.
The timing could not be more telling. Just as the Fever make their deepest playoff run in nearly a decade and stun the basketball world by defeating the Las Vegas Bases in Game 1 of the semifinals despite being heavy underdogs, the WNBA chooses this exact moment to flex its authority and target Caitlin Clark.
When you're on the WNBA's time or the NFL's time or the NBA's time, when you're on their time, criticizing the officials, calling out the officiating, I've seen players get fined for that. But when you're on your own time, well, now, other than Sophie Cunningham, Caitlin Clark seems to be the two players that come to my mind of players getting fined, criticizing the officials, doing it on their own time, quote unquote, off the clock.
Instead of celebrating the incredible storylines unfolding in these playoffs, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and her team seem more focused on policing social media and handing out petty fines for honest comments that simply reflect what everyone already knows.
The hate is real. The hate is real, Kathy. I see you hating on us from a mile away, Kathy Engelbert. We all see it. You out here trying to fine Caitlin Clark. You out here fining the one person who's actually bringing money into this league. What a joke. You're mad that the Indiana Fever are here right now. Y'all didn't expect us to get this far. Y'all really didn't expect it. We got Sophie Cunningham exposing the whole league agenda. Exposing them. Caitlin Clark mocking them all on Twitter, all on Instagram, everywhere, because they are.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. Let us be clear about what really happened. After the Fever's 87-85 victory over Atlanta in the deciding Game 3 of their first-round series, Caitlin Clark replied to her team's official Instagram post celebrating their bench with two simple comments: elite bench mob and refs couldn't stop us. Those 4 words, echoing what millions of fans have been saying all season, were somehow enough for the WNBA to issue a $200 fine. The absurdity is undeniable.
What world do we live in? Like, I'm pretty sure she just said the refs can't stop them celebrating. This isn't even her going at refs. It's literally like if you say the word refs and you're an Indiana Fever player, you're going to get fined. If you say the word refs as a Fever player, The word referees has to be spoken, cannot be said by an Indiana Fever player, otherwise it's a fine. And the worst part is if they got fined for celebrating. So I don't think, only she got fined, not everybody. There's other people on the floor, everything. She's not, like, they're celebrating, the timeout's been called, or the foul's been called, it is what it is.
We're talking about a league that has allowed the systematic targeting of its biggest star all season. Yet the moment she makes a mild comment about poor officiating, they treat it as if she has committed a serious offense. What makes this even more unbelievable is that Caitlin Clark is not even playing in these playoffs. She has been sidelined since July with a groin injury that ended her second season after just 13 games. The same player who brought unprecedented attention and revenue to the WNBA, who filled arenas and boosted television ratings to record levels, has been watching from the sidelines as her teammates continue without her. Yet even from the bench, while dealing with the frustration of being unable to play, Clark has still found herself targeted by the WNBA for simply speaking the truth.
WNBA definitely got to play these women more. You got to pay these women more. Cause what the hell is a $200 fine? This picture right here is giving me Mom Made Pizza Rolls vibes. Mom Made Pizza Rolls and everybody. Caitlin Clark was fined $200 for her comments she left on the IG post. She said refs couldn't stop us, meaning they advanced to the next round despite the refs trying to throw them a curveball every game, despite having to play against the refs. And the league said, "Oh hell nah, you gotta run me that. You gotta run me that 200. You got to run me that 200."
The response from Caitlin Clark says everything about how seriously she takes this ridiculous punishment. "Got fined $200 for this, LOL," she wrote on X, adding laughing emojis and promising that the bench mob would be even more rowdy tomorrow. Her teammate Sophie Cunningham joined in, joking that the fine would really hurt Clark's bank account and sarcastically offering to start a GoFundMe. These are professional athletes laughing at the league's weak attempt at intimidation, and rightfully so. The numbers put everything into perspective. Clark's annual salary is around $78,000, but her endorsement deals with Nike, Gatorade, and other major brands are worth tens of millions, making the fine look even more absurd. To put it simply, this fine amounts to about 0.007% of her estimated net worth. It is not about the money, it is about the principle and the message the league is sending. Instead of addressing the ongoing officiating issues that have plagued the WNBA all season, they are punishing the players who dare to speak up. What makes this even more frustrating is that Caitlin Clark's comment was not controversial in any way. She did not single out referees, use profanity, or make any personal attacks. She simply pointed out that officiating could not stop her team from winning, a statement that could just as easily be seen as celebrating her teammates' resilience and determination. Yet somehow, this harmless remark was enough to draw league discipline, while the real problems that sparked the comment remain ignored.
Sophie has got jokes. She retweeted this. That's really going to break the bank for her. Starting a GoFundMe now. Sophie, you got jokes. Hun, you got jokes. Sophie Cunningham Central, I'll donate.
The timing of this fine exposes the WNBA's completely misplaced priorities. While Caitlin Clark was being punished for a harmless Instagram comment, her team was preparing for their semifinal matchup against the Las Vegas Aces, whose star Aja Wilson had just earned her 4th MVP award. The contrast is striking. Wilson, the league's most decorated active player, is celebrated for her success, while Clark, its most popular player, is fined for mild criticism of officiating. It perfectly captures everything wrong with how the WNBA is run. The broader picture makes this punishment even more absurd. Throughout the 2025 season, officiating has been a constant source of frustration for players, coaches, and fans alike. From the infamous Fever and Sun brawl that resulted in multiple technical fouls and ejections, to the countless examples of inconsistent calls and missed plays, the quality of officiating has remained a major issue the league continues to overlook.
Rather than fining players for being excited on the bench and for letting it be known how trash your referees are, why don't you start finding referees for not calling fouls? Why don't you start putting that type of energy into making sure the game is played better? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? Because that would be nice. That would be nice if you could do that.
Instead of addressing these ongoing issues, the WNBA continues to punish those who speak out. Golden State coach Natalie Nakasi was fined for questioning officiating bias. Fever coach Stephanie White has been calling out disrespectful officiating for months. And even Las Vegas coach Becky Hammon, whose team often benefits from favorable calls, has admitted that the overall quality of officiating has been poor. The pattern is obvious. The people who understand the game best are all saying the same thing, yet the league chooses to fine them instead of fixing the problem. The Indiana Fever's playoff run without Caitlin Clark makes her fine even more insulting. Despite losing 6 key players to injuries, including their biggest star, the Fever have fought their way to the semifinals for the first time since 2015. They upset the third-seeded Atlanta Dream in an intense 3-game series, and then stunned the basketball world by defeating the second-seeded Las Vegas Aces on the road 89-73 in Game 1. Kelsey Mitchell was outstanding, scoring 34 points in that win, the second highest total in Fever playoff history.
What if this is the WNBA foreshadowing? We're seeing how you're acting on the bench. We're seeing how you're talking to the officials on the bench. We will tee you up. Now, whether I think that she deserves a tee for it or not, we're not even going to get into that. What if this is just saying, hey, we're going to tee you up if you continue to get at the officials, if you continue to talk up the officials, if you continue to show up the officials on the sideline, we're going to tee you up. We're not going to tee Sophie up.
This should have been a moment to celebrate resilience, teamwork, and the incredible depth of talent in women's basketball. Instead, the WNBA chose to fine its biggest star for simply acknowledging that officials could not stop her team's remarkable run. It is tone-deaf, petty, and completely counterproductive to the league's stated goals of growth and visibility. The contrast with Aja Wilson's situation could not be clearer. Wilson, who just earned her record-breaking 4th MVP award, embodies everything the WNBA establishment wants to showcase. She is dominant on the court, polished in interviews, and careful never to criticize the league. Yet when she and her Las Vegas Aces faced the Fever in the semifinals, it was Kelsey Mitchell and the Fever bench, the very players Caitlin Clark was praising in her post, who stole the spotlight. Wilson struggled through a rough 6 for 22 shooting night, while the Fever controlled the game from start to finish.
The Aces couldn't stop her. I actually don't think that the Aces perimeter, honestly, defense or offense is very good, but specifically defense, they just couldn't find an answer for Kelsey. They were sending 2 on her at different times, but the Fever were running cutters. Kelsey was making her way to the rim. Now, I will say the Aces defense is scary around the rim because you have somebody like Aja who averages over 2 blocks a game, and she's just there waiting and ready to block your shot if you get too close to the rim. But Kelsey Mitchell, I mean, she was just finding her spots, getting to her lanes, hitting those open threes, all of the...
The irony could not be more striking. Caitlin Clark was fined for saying the refs could not stop her team. And then, that same team went out and proved her right by dominating the league's golden star and her heavily favored squad. If the WNBA had any sense, it would be celebrating this incredible underdog story instead of handing out petty fines over harmless Instagram comments. But intelligence and strategy have never been the strengths of Kathy Engelbert's administration. This fine highlights everything wrong with the WNBA's approach to player relations and league management. Instead of supporting their stars and addressing real concerns about officiating, the league seems more interested in maintaining control and protecting its image.